For part three of In Cold Blood, we were given a very interesting perspective and background information on both Dick and Perry, not only their past, but their family and their relationship with their families. I found it very interesting. Dick grew up in a relatively normal, family environment, much like Aaron McCaffrey did from the video we watched, and was treated very well, has a very forgiving family, which, just like Aaron's father, after she supposedly may or may not have had her boyfriend and the other people kill her two siblings and her mom and potentially her dad, he was still willing to forgive her. And I found it very interesting that Dick's parents, when they were talking to Mr. Nye, said, Dick is ashamed of what he's done. He's afraid that we will not forgive him. But they said that they would, and they said that they always have. And I found that to be a very interesting dynamic between both Mr. McCaffrey and Dick's parents. And my big question regarding that is, are these people in denial? Like, obviously, they're children. Dick's parents don't know what he has done yet. But certainly, Aaron Caffrey's father knew. And are they in denial? How do they rationalize and justify their reasons for forgiving? I mean, I get that it's their kids, but I feel like that would be a very difficult thing. And I feel like sometimes after a certain point, you can't help someone. Maybe you just have to wash your hands of them. The one thing Dick's mother did say about him, which I found interesting, was that he was never the same after his accident. And I sort of wonder if there was some sort of brain trauma that was introduced, to his personality, because they said he started gambling. That's when he started writing the bad checks. But at the same time, I feel like maybe his mom's justification for Dick's actions is actually Perry, because she even says that. She thinks that he's the one who's the bad influence on Dick. But as far as Perry, he seems like he had a really rough life. He not only had parents who were very abusive. He said the father used him like the N-word, and said his mother was a drunk chick. He died in a drunken coma. So there was a lot of abuse. And then the way his parents' marriage ended, said it ended violently with whips and scalding water and kerosene. Like, that's enough to scar someone from a very young age. And seeing that kind of violence, I guess, makes you more likely to be able to accept and justify that kind of violence in your life. And he's just a very violent and angry person. Like, when they're in the car with Mr. Bell, like, he's going to be the one who commits the murder, and he's ready to do it. And he said if it wasn't for the young man walking along the highway, he was ready to kill him. And he called that guy, Mr. Bell's savior and everything. But Perry has a very violent past, and it has spilled over into his adult life. He said even when he was in Japan, he pushed a guy off a bridge that he had never met. So he has no disregard for people. And even his sister told the police that, Perry does not care for the rights of other people, which I found very interesting towards the end of the section we were reading, where it becomes clear that Dick is actually a pedophile, and that Perry is actually disgusted by that. Which brings me to my second question, is that even though he has no value for anyone else's rights, it seems like he even has a moral line that he will not cross. So does that mean he still has some sense of morality within him? It's still hard to tell at this point, but the fact that he shows disgust at what his friend does means that he does have some sense of rights of people. Maybe it's just the innocent that he leaves alone, or the young, but it seems like there is some sense of morality and humanity left in him at that point. And regarding the rest of this chapter, I did find it very interesting in the end, the duality between both Dick and Perry. They both came from very different backgrounds, very different walks of life, and I sort of wonder, as far as my third question goes, is would they have been capable of committing this crime on their own? Or do they kind of need each other as a sense of, they kind of represent a duality? Do they feed off of each other? You know, does Dick need Perry's set of skills and Perry need Dick's set of skills? Because Dick is the outgoing one, the personable one. He's the one that does all the talking. And Perry's kind of the quiet, like, muscle man. So would they have been able to do this without each other's complementing skills? And if they did do it, would they have been already caught by now due to the lack of skills that each of them does not have? Or would they be better off? Because it seems like at this point they're making a lot of mistakes, and it just seems like they got themselves caught in the end by not going to Mexico immediately, by not sticking to the original plan. They went back to Kansas City, and that's where they got ID'd and everything for the bouncing checks and for Dick going back to his old work. So I kind of wonder if they would have gotten away with it, on their own, or if they would have even contemplated doing it had it been a solo mission for either one of them.